Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in the last video, in the integration test, we got up to where we were able to successfully run the call controller test, and I went through how all these data, how I'm generating it, and the step by step of how all this is happening. So let me just make that call. So this is where we make call test basically for the controller, and that should work. And then I did mention that so it's created the test and everything is fine. I did mention that there's no point creating the invoice and payment here, which should be covered in the up higher level test, but you can also achieve it in the integration level. So this is the invoice bit, and the only reason why it wasn't working before is because of the node. You know how I deserialized the node. So where it was there was a problem was when I was extracting the username and call ID and the username, and that, like, I mean, this is also better to handle up high, because right now I'm only just passing on one call, one create call. Okay, what if I want to create an invoice for more than one? Yeah, then this test will be difficult, so it will be better handle up higher level. But with one call, we can just run this test and see how it works. And so extracting, we got the bit where we are extracting the call ID, and we are passing on and using it and doing all sort of stuff with it in the invoice. And then we are also extracting the username, which is here, which is a bit up higher, where we are extracting it. This is when we create the call receiver. Okay, so we are extracting the user from the call receiver, so that is also using a different node. So you got the data as the root, and then you got the root, and then you got data as another node, and then you got with the username, you got, I've explained it in the other video as well. So you go through so many nodes to get to where you want, and that's why the test was failing, because I made a lot of changes to the backend. Anyway, so to carry on, this video is just to cover the invoice and the payment, and I fixed the problem. And it's all about which part of the response body where you are extracting the node. So you just have to go through it and see where the failure is coming. So let me just run invoice, where we've got, it creates a call, it creates a call receiver, then it creates a user, which, and then create a call receiver, use the user to create a call receiver for that particular user. Then it creates a call, and then take all that information, and then create an invoice for that call. So you can see that it passes here. So let me just go into the payment as well. So the payment is the only one that I haven't covered a bit. It's the same, it's everything up to invoice, where we are making all those calls, passing the body as usual. From, if you look at my other video, you will see how this is working. And I extract the invoice ID, and and then I construct my response body. See, that's what I'm saying, it gets harder as you go up high this level, and it's better handled in the higher level test rather than here. So you see how I construct the body. I had to cut this off because of the noise outside. And yeah, so it becomes difficult to construct the body and pass it on, because it gets complicated as you go up higher. So I would still say invoice controller and payment controller should be handled up higher in the end-to-end test level. Yes, so higher level. And yeah, so we are creating the invoice. So if you want to understand how I'm doing this, you could go back to the last 4 or 5 videos, which explains my integration test. And then, you know, I'm creating and then extracting out the invoice invoice ID, and then I'm using that invoice ID to create the payment for that call. So the invoice will contain all the call IDs, and so then all I need is the invoice ID for all those call and create that payment for that invoice, and then update the status for all that thing. So this is the payment body. So let's go into this method, and you can see how I'm generating the payment the same way that we would do with the postman, or even in a rest assured, right? Similar. So you got the date and the full name on the card, and then I'm using Faker to do all this stuff. And then you know, I've got credit card number, the date, expiring date, issue number, security number. Yeah. And then I'm saying use the invoice ID. We add it as a put to the JSON object. Yeah, so we add it as a put to the JSON object. Sorry, JSON object here, right? And then we put all of this together into a JSON object, and then we return it as a payment due. Yeah, so we got the status and everything all returning back to the user. So if you go back to where we was, yeah, so, and then, you know, we just loading it just to make sure that we are logging it, just to make sure that we are doing the right thing. And then we take that body, we take the header and this body that we just created, and then put it into an HTTP entity string type, and into that string type, and then this is what we pass on to our REST template, right? So we got REST template is dot exchange, and then we got the endpoint, the method, which is a post method, and then we are passing that body as the request body, and then saying it's a string type of work. There's another thing that they use to do integration test that I've come across is MVC. It's a bit different the way, but it's similar to this as well. And when you look at that one, you don't see the white box thing I was talking about that you can see in this one, right? So that one proved me wrong. The integration test is actually black box. It's similar to, you can compare it to rest assured. Yeah, so rest assured is completely black box as well. So integration is black box, except that, you know, when I started off and creating it, I started off using the class as part of my creation, and that I was saying, right, there's a white box here because we are pointing it to the class. So if you look at the end here, I've got the class somewhere, I think here I've got the class somewhere here. So if it was a string type of class, and I think it's the way it's the way I'm creating the entity. So the other one is a string type. Here I'm using a user type, so I don't need to use a user type to do this. I can do it just the same way as I done here, where it's just a string HTTP entity, and then we don't need to even think about white box here. Yeah, and we can just say it's a string type of class and pass that on to it. Yeah, so we could do it that way, and that way it's not white box at all, right? So so it's definitely a black box. So I've corrected myself here. If you do come across that video, I'm saying that it's both. I've proved myself wrong here, so it is black box. All right, so let me just run this payment one so that we can get the idea that it also passes, and the test is here. So let me just run the test here. this one also passes, and the response are quite well. You know, it creates the it create a call receiver, then you go on and it creates the user first and then the call receiver, and then you use all those details to create the call, which we can see right here, and then it creates, it do other stuff, and then it just go on and assert, and I'm sure it is asserting, isn't it, in the end. So it asserts that it's just asserting the status. We could assert a lot more, but you know that it's okay because it's been it's passing. Once it's the status is okay. All right, so this is the thank you for coming back to my channel. I did mention that I will share the backend and the front end repository in this video, and I will. I've cleaned up the code, and they commented out stuff unless needed. Is there like I've left the commenter out for RabbitMQ for a reason. I might revisit it again and fix that problem, but apart from that, this code is ready to go. If you want to download it and use it, run it locally, you can just follow the instructions on the readme file and then run it locally and experiment with it. You could even improve it if you want, and then use it to write your backend and front end test. All right, thank you for coming back to my channel. So with this, I'm ending the video here. I will come back with another video which I will introduce right after this one, and enjoy your day. Please do like my videos and subscribe to my channels. Thank you. Bye bye.